Hi everyone, this is Peter Rodner from the Mokdong branch. This is my vlog for C2 Giga, Unit 1, Lesson 2. This week's lesson is Logo Power. So this week, students will get together and they're asked to create a powerful logo which represents their group. The tasks are to first, think about the positive qualities that themselves as well as their group members have. Second, think about images that they could use to represent those qualities. Then lastly, present these ideas to the class. For the IDA page, it's broken down into 3 steps. The first step, actually they've already provided a few positive qualities for you to start your discussion. So I'm definitely going to use these in my class. Now when I do my discussion, one thing I want to make sure is that my students understand they're making a logo to represent positive student qualities. So in order to do that, I'm going to download a few images that contrast positive student qualities and negative student qualities. I think once they grasp that idea, it'll be easy for them to think of other qualities they may want to use in their logo. For the second step, students are asked to think of images to represent those qualities. For example, the one given says an owl. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to download a few images to my tab and transmit to them to my students as we move on throughout this section. The reason is it's only the second time the students have used the tab, and having them go to Google, download the images, and Bluetooth them to each other can be a little bit wasteful, and I want them to really work on their script and their presentation. So they can easily just use one of the images that I provided. However, they still are welcome to go to Google if they feel it's necessary. So for the third step, this is where I'm really going to break off into individual groups. I'm going to have students start brainstorming and thinking about what qualities that they're going to use that we just discussed about. And then lastly, a group name that they might. So for the next page, it is materialize. On this page, what I like really a lot and I'm really going to focus on in my class is the idea that students actually begin to draw their logo. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to have students kind of play a Pictionary game. I'm going to ask students to draw a logo, however, they're not allowed to use any words. Then what I want to do is I want to take a screen capture of that area, and then as a class we're going to guess what the logo represents as a positive quality. So the last point I'd like to make is about the useful expressions that are provided in the program. I think these are excellent. However, last week I found that majority of my students were having real difficulty using them actually in their presentation. So I don't want them to get into the habit of thinking that it's okay not to use them. So this week I'm really going to focus and make sure they're using at least 2 to 3 of these expressions in their presentation. One way I'm going to do this is that I'm going to make sure that during their introduction and conclusion that as a class or as a group we brainstorm and we know exactly what we're going to say. Then they can individually or as a group decide which expression would best fit the parts that they're going to be presenting on. I'll be doing this by working individually and being sure to proctor and walk around in the classroom. So as for the applications that I'll be using in my class this week, there will be Polaris Office as well as the S-Note. Because Memory Giga, this is only their second time in the 3.0 classes, I don't want to use anything too advanced. Also, when I have them use the Polaris Office and create a PowerPoint and type in their script into the S-Note, I can monitor the progression throughout the class and make sure that they are keeping up, and that way they'll have an excellent presentation towards the end. As far as Polaris Office, it seems that a majority of my students are at least familiar with PowerPoint, so it's very similar. I suggest if you're unaware of Polaris or you feel uncomfortable that you watch some tutorial videos. I believe there's one already provided on the Cheongdam YouTube page. For the S-Note, that's pretty simple. This is pretty much where they're just going to write their script. Most of my students seem to have known how to use this already. It wasn't that difficult. We also do use it when we do like research projects or summaries or notes for the listening section. So I'm using this during the class. That way they get more and more comfortable with it. So just a few quick tips and maybe suggestions you might want to use in your class. So since this lesson is logo power, you may actually want students to create an actual 3-dimensional logo. I think you could do this in several ways. For example, you can buy some white t-shirts from an e-mart or get some paper cups from maybe a coffee shop or from the grocery store and bring in some markers and crayons, and students could actually create their logo on top of things such as a cup or their shirt. This would be really awesome maybe if you're doing your presentation and everyone has the same shirt with the same logo. I think this is something that will just make the class a little bit more fun. However, I don't think it's absolutely necessary that you do. So I hope these tips and suggestions have helped you out, and I'll see you guys in my next vlog.